human growth hormone, HGH. How do you optimize your HGH so that you cannot even fit on the chalkboard and you have to be on your knees? Pause. Let's go. I have a full video on my YouTube channel talking about HGH and how to fully optimize it completely in depth. Now, this video that you're watching right now will be the fast, hard-hitting actions you can do to increase your growth hormone without all the fluff. I was watching it again, great information, but I can be very boring sometimes. So let's just go into it. Number one, most of your growth hormone is secreted in the first hour of your sleep-wake cycle because most of your hormones are mediated by a circadian rhythmic cycle. What that means basically is that your hormones run on a clock. All of your cells are running on a clock, and basically your sleep-wake times are the most important. So what is actually most important for growth hormone, rather than actually getting 8 hours of sleep, even though that's still important, is actually going to bed at the same time every single day. You can go to bed at 2 a.m., you can go to bed at 3 a.m., I don't give a fuck. Truth is, you just need to make sure you're getting to bed at around the same 10 to 15 minute window every single day, because that's where you will be able to show your body, okay, I'm going to bed at this time. You can reliably put your resources to getting growth hormone. Anyways, circadian rhythmic cycle, first hour. Next thing is insulin sensitivity. Insulin can actually blunt growth hormone. So if you have your greatest meal right before bed, something bad can happen. Not as much not as much growth hormone comes out. Look at me making mistakes. Insulin sensitivity is actually heavily intertwined with growth hormone. This is because insulin, having high levels of it, can blunt growth hormone, but having IGF-1 is insulin growth factor, having high levels of insulin, your insulin spike, can promote IGF-1, which is to do with your growth. It is another growth hormone. Now, what we want to do to optimize IGF-1 and growth hormone at the same time is to have your greatest insulin spike after your training, so that, like, I've got 17-inch arms, bench 325. This is why you should listen to me, by the way. You want to time your IGF-1 spike after training through having your biggest meal or your greatest insulin spike after training, because your body is like hyper ready to accept nutrients. However, you don't want this to be right before you go to bed, even though some people might like it because they can sleep like a baby when they eat a lot. But truth is that what you want to do is that you want to actually not eat like a big meal for a couple hours before bed. Just important to realize. Other thing is intensity. Now, I have this as just like a little thing on the screen, on the actual blackboard on the screen, bro. Wow, a blackboard, a screen inside a screen. This is crazy. Anyways. Intensity. Growth hormone exists for adaptation, meaning that if you do not have to adapt in any way, you will not have your growth hormone spiking. And I want to mention, like, growth hormone is responsible for elongation of your bones because of your growth plates. But if your growth plates have fused, then you won't grow up, but you'll mostly grow out and thicker. So what are some ways you can challenge your body so that you can get a spike of growth hormone? I truly recommend you can try the Sprint 8 method. Sprinting is really great because what it can do is it can show your body, okay, I had to run really fast, meaning that I have to adapt because I have to be stronger, I have to be able to fight, I have to be able to catch this bounty so that I can actually eat and survive. So that's part of it. Other thing is the sauna heat exposure can actually, like 30 minutes in the sauna can actually help a lot, and that can spike growth hormone. What you want to make sure you don't do is you don't fry your testicles. And what I mean is testosterone is also really important for hormonal optimization. I prefer actually optimizing testosterone when it comes to my human performance rather than growth hormone, actually. And your testosterone comes from your balls, and your balls only work, will most optimally work at a temperature that is 2 to 3 degrees lower than body temperature, which is 37 degrees. I recommend bringing an ice pack to the sauna if you're going to go to the sauna for your growth hormone. It's really important, because if you don't, then you're just frying your nuts, basically. Last thing is fasting. Fasting is incredibly important because your body does not want to get smaller. Pretty much every organism, its goal is to actually get bigger. Your cells want to divide and want to make you bigger as an organism. So really, if you're fasting, if you're not getting enough nutrients, if you're preventing yourself from eating for a sustained period of time, then your body will have to spike growth hormone. This happens about like a 2,000% increase in growth hormone because your body doesn't want to shrink. The problem with fasting is you need to still get the adequate nutrition. If you're not getting the adequate nutrition, you're not going to be able to actually grow, even if you have growth hormone. Growth hormone, in this case, is a preventative measure. So if you fast, let's say, like I did this inadvertently when I was in high school, I wouldn't bring a lunch, I wouldn't have breakfast, I would just do my work whole day, and then I'd come home, have a great big meal. If you fast, not only do you get the IGF-1 spike, you also get the growth hormone spike. So it's a really, really powerful method. You just need to make sure you get adequate nutrition when you actually break the fast. So all those things together, I also want, like now we have all these things on the screen. I want to address a couple things that are holding back your growth hormone secretion, and also a couple myths, because those are actually pretty important to address, because everybody's telling you different things and some of those things don't actually help that much. Don't experience cold exposure after you're doing one of these things like sprinting or going through hot sauna. The reason why is because cold exposure can help you deal with more things, and it can help with recovery. And so, okay, well, Daniel, why is that bad? Why is recovering bad? It's because you're blunting the adaptive response. If you don't need to adapt because you're already perceivably recovered through your central nervous system perception, then you don't need to adapt. The whole purpose of the growth hormone spikes, the pulses, are to make sure that you can adapt. And if you actually have the cold shower after, then you don't have as much growth hormone. You don't get the sustained spikes. And I just want to make sure you understand that cold showers can be used great for dealing with more physical activity. Like let's say I'm going for a Muay Thai fight and I want to practice hard and learn hard, but I also don't want to get injured so much. Cold showers would be great because it would allow me to deal with more. But it's not fully recommended if you want to optimize your growth hormone as well as your testosterone, but it's mostly growth hormone if you don't want to. I just wouldn't recommend cold showers for growth hormone. And for testosterone, it's a very, very minor, it's a very minute, minuscule benefit, because it just helps with blood flow to your testes, to your balls. And so that can possibly help with the extra blood flow, increase testosterone. Other thing is myths. You shouldn't really incorporate, unless you're trying to get a greater jump, massai jumps. I kept calling it massai because, I don't know, it just feels right, even though it's probably massai. Massai jumps, everybody says they increase your height, but what they don't realize, it's in the copywriting. What that means is that it increases your vertical, as in your jump height. So like, I can jump higher because I can do massai jumps, and that helps. But the thing is, it doesn't actually help with your actual physical height. The other thing is like, wouldn't you say, okay, Wolff's Law. Wolff's Law is the law that says bones expand to deal with the pressure that they are given. Well, yeah, that's true, helps with bone density. But if you're jumping, it's not necessarily helping as much, because to tell you the truth, Wolff's Law is more for density. Bones do not elongate as much necessarily for Wolff's Law, it's more density. And if you're talking about jumping will cause you to be bigger, you might be somewhat right. But the truth is, massai jumps really just help with your vertical, mostly in comparison to your jumps. So it's not actually really as helpful as optimizing your HGH from other methods, like making sure you have great nutrition, like fasting, like pushing your body to its limits. All of this has been how to optimize human growth hormone. And if you want to have a much more full in-depth guide that's not as, I guess, dopaminergic, it's really just me putting down the information, how growth hormone works, so that you can get the application and be able to think, okay, have a great deeper understanding of growth hormone. You can watch that video on my channel. Otherwise, check the first link in the description below. That's my full program for hormonal optimization and help you getting to 325-pound bench press and 17.25-inch arms at 17. So yeah, that's my entire program, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So yeah, like the video.